Hey guys, Turret here, bringing you a 1v1 today. We are on Crossing in the Woods. Playing for today, spawning in the north is DevM. Yes, he's returned. He's playing as Soviet Union, and his loadout is guard motor, guard rifle combined arms, and armored assault. Trusty armored assault. Probably going to pick that one. In the south we have Heinz Guderian, playing as OKW. He has Spec Ops, Luftwaffe Ground Forces, and Scavenge. So this is from the ESL Go For Cup week number 5. This is still the best of one round. So I imagine DevM picked Soviets and Heinz Guderian picked Crossing in the Woods to try and counter them. If you don't know who Heinz Guderian is, he made it to the semi-finals, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and may have beaten Paul for third place in that week. So he's a pretty competent player, even if you're not familiar with him. And he's facing off against DevM, obviously the winner of OCF, a very well-known player, and he's been getting back into the game in the last couple of weeks. Good to see him back on the scene. Not playing as usual US forces though, as allies, instead going for Soviets today. And kind of surprised he hasn't already selected Armored Assault, because he would have had access to that radio intercept and he would know exactly what Heinz Guderian is up to. So we see a bit of Maxims coming out of cash grab DevM. He's going for slightly more conservative Maxim build. He's going for a conscript first and then into Maxims. So you see Von Ivan, for instance, going for Common Engineer into Maxims, into 5 Maxims. So we'll have to see. I know a lot of European players are playing 3 Maxims instead against OKW. Maxims, of course, being extremely potent due to their fast setup time, pretty good damage, of course, good range, quick suppression against lone squads as well. We can have trouble suppressing a large blob. So it looks like Heinz Guderian kind of resigned to the fact that he can't do much against this Maxim, just holding onto this garrison, trying to stall for time whilst he caps up his side of the map. He's bringing in his Kubel now. So a good factor of the Kubel is it won't take our manpower bleed to these Maxims, but Maxim's got pretty good penetration, and you can see it quickly brings that Kubel down to half health. So he's now coming back in. Got a nice flank here coming in from those Fox Grenadiers, but unluckily for them, Maxim's fast, quick setup time, and that flank is pretty much all for nothing. So that's what's going to have to retreat eventually. Looks like he's just trying to stall for time there behind heavy cover. And sometimes that's all you can do in the early game, you know, you just take up a position in a strong house, and you're going to lose the Maxim eventually at range, but just heavily reduce the damage they do and stall their allied advance. If you quickly retreat, you'll lose a lot of territory to the Maxims early game, and then trying to push against Maxims just so hard to do, and that's why they are so effective. So it looks like DevM is going with the more European style, going for 3 Maxims, and now getting an extra conscript squad. Okay, flamethrower pops on this squad for DevM. Does a lot of damage, but Heinz was quite quick to evacuate, but got out of the wrong door there. Either way, squad gets away alive. Quite low on health though. And he's gone for the mechanized regiment, so that could be trouble later on. He's not going to have access to healing, and he's got a lot of low health squads, suffering a lot of damage to all those Maxims. Here we go, Maxims covering Maxims, shoving down this push from Heinz Guderian. Yeah, that's really not working out too well from there. Kubel trying to do some capping over here, but he's going to lose this Maxim in the garrison. So Heinz Guderian in a tough spot. He's gone for the mechanized regiment, but he's nowhere near the amount of fuel he needs to bring out a vehicle from that. So he's in a really tough spot right now. Oh, could lose the squad here on retreat. No, the Maxim doesn't get that final burst off. Heinz Guderian, as you can see now, just about pinned into his base here. He's owning such a low amount of territory, but has forced a few squads back for DevM, and that has opened up the right-hand flank. Let's get his Kubel over there if possible. Make use of that extra capping speed it has. Maxim just shredding through the Kubel there. It is really trouble if that does take damage. Gotta back it up for repairs. Not such a big issue now that he's got the mechanized regiment, but before that, having to tie up your stern pioneers, repairing that thing in the early game can be quite costly. Nice to see a sweeper onto this. Well aware of how devastating Soviet mines can be in the early game, and they're only 30 munitions, but can easily wipe, especially 4-man squads. So a nice sweeping here from Heinz Guderian. Well aware of those Soviet threats. And I think that's another factor that makes Maxim so potent. I mean, give you some good... Oh, I heard a mine go off somewhere. Looks like here in the center, takes 2 models off this Volksgrenadier squad. So yeah, I mean the Maxims are so hard to push against, and then the mines are just another obstacle, so those two combined makes it very hard to regain lost territory to these Maxims. Nice play here by Heinz Guderian, doing a few jukes there with his Jaeger lights. That does of course mean he's gone for scavenge, throws off a few of those infiltration grenades. Still pioneers close in here. Still got their sweeper out though. Not maximising their damage output, but fair enough. Doesn't want to run into any more of those mines. We see tier 3 already coming up from DevM, and with his current fuel income, he's not going to be too far away from a T70 by the time that thing's up. One thing that is to Heinz Guderian's credit, hasn't been suffering that much under the VP drain. Just 50 VPs or so behind at this stage.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Really hasn't been able to contest this garrison over here since it has been housed by this Maxim. Oh, he's making all his plays over on this flank, and now the Maxims are back on the field. This may be in trouble once again. The Maxim running straight for the cutoff, and DevM is well known for being extremely aggressive, and time again he makes plays for this cutoff. But I mean, as I was saying, it's really only cutting off these 2 resource territories, so not a big deal. Oh, was that an AT grenade from DevM? Unexpected AT grenade tech from DevM. And it nets him that Kubel. Nicely done there. I mean, a lot of players do not take that in the early game because it does cost 25 fuel, so it does delay your T70, and of course he would have had his T70 about a minute earlier if he hadn't ticked AT grenades, but still picks up the Kubel, so can't really criticise that move. Heinz Guderian also bring out his Lukes at a similar time, but bit too late. His fuel income has been harassed too effectively by DevM. So he's going to have to contend with this T70 now, and the T70 has a much superior penetration on its main gun. Will easily win a 1v1 against Panzer II. Lux makes a beeline for this garrison here, wants to get this Maxim out of there so he can regather control of that fuel, and in return the T70 makes a beeline for that Panzer II. Also got a lot of low health squads, can inflict a lot of bleed here with this T70. Got a Shrek squad trying to keep this thing honest. So T70 doesn't want to risk crossing the river here. This is a very common mine spot. Shrek squad gets one shot in. This is risky sticking around here, but he's got another Shrek coming in from the side. Could easily lose us to this T70 though. Oh, so close, man. Look at how low that is on health. Second Shrek does connect, pushes that back for some repairs. And finally, this Panzer II manages to get this Maxim out of the garrison. point. He may even lose us here. He makes a mistake. It sets up. Does he have anything nearby to try capture with? He does not. He could salvage it though with this Shrek squad. But he would definitely like to cap that. Okay, we have 2 conscripts coming in, and they do have those AT grenades, remember, so this Lux has got to be on its toes here. Shrek squad has to get out of there. Conscript Ura trying to close in for the AT grenade. Looks like one of them actually does connect, and he's actually gone up on this hill, so he has to back away to safety. Kind of exposing his rear arm to T-70. TC closes in, tries to get the kill. He's doing a lot of damage to this. Got some Jaegelites coming in from the side. I'm not sure what he's doing there. Perhaps trying to cap that Maxim. He's taking heavy damage on negative cover there in the river. Maxim does get regathered by DevM, and that was just a devastating sequence of events there for Heinz Guderian. Didn't manage to steal that Maxim away, and he desperately wanted to. Ends up taking a lot of damage on his Lukes, and also suffering a lot of manpower bleed onto those Jaegelites, and he's really just suffering so much manpower bleed because there's no access to healing. Hasn't even managed to get to Vet 1 on his Sturm, so he can't put down those med kits. And that is the big issue when you go Mechanized Regiment. Just don't have access to that healing. Kind of surprised he hasn't put down his HQ. Honestly, I thought he would have done that by now. But he has been suffering a lot of bleed. Maybe he just hasn't been able to squeeze out manpower wise. Okay, this Max is in a bit of trouble. He's trying to soft retreat out of there. Probably would have been better to use sprint if you want to soft retreat it in those situations, but I suppose DevM is more used to playing US forces than Soviets, so maybe he's forgotten about that ability. Oh, instant pin, instant suppression on that squad. Just shuts that down. See, this Shrek does connect with this T-70. DevM has gone for armoured assault, but rather belatedly. So he did miss out on that invaluable early intel from radio intercept. Trace grenades going off on the Maxim. Quite a lot of damage, but only one model down. Oh, this could be a kill here, but no. This is a decent spot to stop that Lux from trying to wipe that on retreat there. At this stage for DevM, maybe a good idea to pull out a Su-76, get that extra bit of mobility in his anti-tank forces. Oh yeah, I mean, he could even just go for another T-70. Try to close the show right here. And he's still got over 5 command points before he gets to the IS-2. He's going to have more than enough fuel by the time he gets there if he keeps going at this rate. So I feel like he needs to get an extra unit from Tier 3, trying to extend his advantage and close out this game. Su-76 would be the safer play, because knowing that Heinz Guderian has gone for Scavenge, will have access to that Flak Panzer that will keep that Flak Panzer at bay much more effectively. So yeah, Heinz Guderian, I think it all went wrong because he didn't have good enough fuel control to get his Lukes out fast enough, and the times Lukes came out, it was pretty much the exact same time as T-70, so didn't really have a good window to get heaps of damage in and keep these Maxims honest. And things have really just not really gone much better for him since then. Got unlucky not picking up that Maxim. That is one thing. If you manage to steal a Maxim, you're in a much better position than otherwise. Zis trying to line up a few shots on Panzer 2, unsuccessful though, both shots missing. Heinz Guderian continuing to spam out those infiltration grenades from them, but they are only 15 munitions, pretty cheap. Oh, this barrage coming in there, forcing that retreat. Oh, we see actually Heinz Guderian not going for a Ostwind as I was predicting. Instead, putting down his tier 4 structure, trying to cover this whole area here. This is very risky. It's going to be a long time before he can save up for a tank from here, and DevM could quite easily push this if he gets another Zis. Oh, down goes one Shrek squad, and that Shrek's going to be picked up by this conscript squad. If you notices that. In fact, DevM did not go. He just ticked all the way to tier 4 and is now bringing out a T-34-76, so that's interesting. Perhaps expecting that Heinz Guderian was going to go for that flak panzer, but I mean T-34 is pretty much the only thing that it does counter effectively is the flak panzer. But no. Instead, he puts down his tier 4 tech structure, and already DevM's starting to put some pressure on it. He's using that recon mode with his T-70 to give him sight. We can see it gives him plenty of sight, so he just doesn't have to attack into the fog of war. He can get those more accurate shots. I don't know why he hasn't picked up this Panzer trick yet. Maybe he can't click on it. It does happen sometimes. So yeah, Maxim covering his Zis pummeling away at the tier 4. T-34 causing all sorts of issues for this Lux. Tier 4 going to go down shortly. The Kittenwerfer now fielded by Heinz Guderian. I feel like this is a little bit late though. And yeah, once this tier 4 goes down, I think that's going to be game. Honestly, I think that Austria maybe has a slightly better time against Soviets these days. They have better access to more reliable indirect fire. I feel like infantry support gun doesn't have very good AoE. Hard time dealing with the 6-man Maxim squads, because the mortar has a slightly better AoE. And you pretty much always go tier 1 anyway, so it's not like you have to make a sacrificial taking decision to go for your indirect fire option. And you also have access to that extremely potent sniper. Oh, main gun destroyed on this T-34, but I think it's going to get away to safety. Oh, T-70 does clear that Rakettenwerfer right at base though. Here comes a Zis, here comes a Zis barrage in fact. Since those retreats. Looks like a Shrek shot missed there on the T-70. That thing's tearing up. 23 kills. Nearly vet 3. And yeah, I think this is over, so I may as well speed this one up. So, parting thoughts on this match. I think Heinz Guderian kind of did the right thing in some respects by trying to hold on to this house and stall those Maxims. Here we go. IL-2 straight, just tearing through all this infantry here. Doing it right on the base's door, so we'll kind of cover into the bases. Just the base. Guderian's got to hope that these flak emplacements in his base knock that plane down. He did field himself a Puma at some stage. fair choice against T-54 76s, but yeah, too little too late. Anyway, I feel like he kind of did the right thing, trying to stall in a strong position in a garrison, trying to stall against their maxims, trying to hold on to as much territory as possible, but he did not quite hold on to enough territory to get his looks out fast enough, and that's when things started to go wrong for him. As for DevM, nice aggressive plays time and time again, making a beeline for this cutoff, and that is one issue when going for scavenge. You don't have access to an MG, so time and time again DevM just ran straight down the center, straight onto this with no worries about being suppressed, and I think that was one of his other keys to victory. Anyway, I'll wrap on that, guys. If you'd like your game to be cast by me, details in the video description below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all for the next thrilling installment. Goodbye, and good luck.